We work so you can play.
MiniWarGaming's Beat the Cooler Bat Rap!
Hey there, MiniWarGamers. Owen here for MiniWarGaming with Kyle to bring you another Warhammer 40k game. And he's back with his Eldar. It's a little bit different this time. Not all of the skimmers like before. Now it's just mostly skimmers. And I brought the white scars out because they haven't been out in a little bit, and I feel like crushing someone. So we'll see if you can not die.
Yeah, we'll try.
All
Do
right.
our best.
So I'll show you the armies, and then we'll get this battle report started. We are playing Big Guns Never Tire, and it is the Dawn of War deployment with night fighting. We've already done the roll-offs. So I'll show you the armies, and then we'll get this started. Oh, and it's 1,850 points.
Yeah.
I don't know how that slipped my mind.
Here we have my Space Marine army, and pretty much straightforward. We've got Khan up front. We've got a full bike squad with a power fist and 2 Meltas, and then a multi-Melta with another attack bike. Same thing on this side. We've got 2 Meltas, Power Glove, and multi-Melta, and then of course more bikes. And then in the back we've got 3 units of land speeders with Typhoon missile launchers and heavy bolters. And then on the middle here we've got 2 groups of tactical marines. One has a Melta plasma cannon, the other one has a Melta multi-Melta, and they're both in drop pods because that's what we do when we're white scars. To the Eldar side, big unit of Guardians with a Star Cannon, I believe. Nope, Bright Lance. And then they've got a Warlock, and he has Conceal, because that's what they do. We've got a group of Warp Spiders with an Exarch, and then he's got his Autarch there, and he's got a Fusion Gun, and then he's got the Shard of Anaris, I think it is, the big sword. Unit of Dire Avengers, and then he's got a Power Weapon and a Shimmer Shield in a Grav Tank. Nope, that's not what they're called. A Wave Serpent, and then we've got another group of Dire Avengers, basically the exact same. We've got a Farseer, a couple psychic powers here, Mind War, Guide, and Executioner. So nothing. He didn't get the good ones. We've got Reapers with an Exarch, and they're all kitted out. He'll be able to ignore my Jinx and all kinds of stuff, and get extra shots. Then we've got a Falcon and a Prism Tank. Then we also have a Aegis Defense Line with an anti-air gun, just in case. He wasn't sure if he was going to use it, but he decided he would take it. And so there's his army, Eldar. Here we are deployed. We've got 4 objectives, and it is Big Guns Never Tire, so heavy support can hold objectives. I've got most of my white scars all piled up in the one corner. There he is, all kind of spread out, most of the objectives near him. Now, as it stands, the Eldar have turn 1, so I'm going to do my scout move with all of my bikes here, and they have broken into combat squads, and that makes some groups of 5 with the sergeant, and then the group of 3 with the attack bike, and then one group also has Khan attached to it as well, because Khan, and Khan's great. But anyway, so there's the advanced move, or the scout move. Steal the initiative, no stealing the initiative, and here we go. So here we go, beginning of the Eldar turn. He does get Guide off, it works successfully. He then moves his Wave Serpent up on the far left flank, and the next Wave Serpent moves up just a little bit, and then disembarks all of the Dire Avengers out of it, and bump, there they are. The other Prism Tank moves 12s, the Falcon moves a little bit, just kind of adjusting around there. His Warp Spiders more or less just hang out behind the wall there. They adjusted a little bit, but that's about it. He decides that he's going to move his Dark Reapers, who jump over the wall, and need to get a little bit closer because it is night fighting on this turn, so things are rather hard to shoot, or at least it's harder to shoot them anyway. Taking shots with his Serpent Shield at my skimmers. Now unfortunately I can't dodge it because it ignores cover saves, and I don't get the night fighting benefit because that's a cover save. And so boom, boom, and that's it. 2 of them go down. Here we go, trying to measure the distance for his little Guardians. They could not reach it. The Falcon could reach it though, firing off with its guns here, shuriken cannons and star cannons and all kinds of stuff. But he does do a glance and a pen, and then the other gun, 1 glance, 1 pen. There you go. So got one of the glances through, and or here's the pen rather. So it's a 2, it doesn't do much, and then the other one dodged it and did not dodge it, and so he gets glanced to death. Boom! That's the end of another wave, or another skimmer. Land speeder. That's what they're called. They're land speeders. Here we go, firing his Reaper at my bikes, hitting on 2s. The other ones are hitting on 3s, and they of course have Guide, so they can reroll the hit. Wounding on 2s, 2 wounds, and wounding on... There we go. So he ignores Jink, but I do get my cover save for being dark out. First one dies. Next guy, 5 up. He dies. Now these guys, they are behind cover, or at least there's things intervening. So he passes his save, and passes, and passes. And one more. Passes, and still passes. So he's okay. He then fires off the prism cannon, which gets a direct hit, doing the large blast AP3 version, so I'll only have a 3 up because it's dark out. So we'll pretty much be okay. Or 3 up and 2 up. So the front guy makes a save. Now he's rolling to wound with the other guns. So 3 pluses, make it, and then there we go. So here we go, shooting more shots from the Dire Avengers at the other unit of bikers. Rolling for 5s and 6s to wound. 6s being rending because that's what, or they're not really rending, but they're rending-ish. So one guy gets through, then does a wound, and the other ones make their save. So one dies because he had to make a 4-up cover save. The rest of them made their saves, though. Here we go, firing off his serpent shields, or not his serpent shield, but his wave serpent's guns. Does do a wound, and I fail my save and lose another biker. Morale check, fail, or sorry, pass, and then fail. There we go. So they run back, and grand total of 8 inches. Which is not so bad because they're going to rally and be able to move as normal anyway. Space Marine turn begins with the drop pod deviating slightly and landing right in front, and all the white scars climb on out. Here we go, we got the bikers rallying, moving 3 and then moving 12 so they can move 15 inches right back towards him. These bikes flying their 12 inches towards the enemy. Then I realized that I went a little bit too fast, but there we go. The other bikers moving their 12 inches, running right through the woods because they have, or they're immune to dangerous terrain, and so they just kind of fly through there. The next bikes, they fly up, moving over the wall here because once again they don't have to take dangerous terrain checks, they just drive right on through because they're awesome like that. So here we go, and taking cover there. Ta-da! The speeders move around, just adjusting wherever they can, trying to get into a better position so I can start firing, though on this turn he already has +1 to his cover save for having the shields on his vehicles, and then with it being night fighting and the fact that he moved, he's going to be looking at pretty much 2-up cover saves all the time, and he also brings pens down to glances. So here we go, one shooting a multi-melta, hits, crack grenade, hits, and so here we go, multi-melta does a pen, the other one does a nothing. So the pen on a 4+, he'll dodge it, and he dodges it. So there you go, made his cover save, his Jink. The other bikers, they decide that they're going to take a few pot shots at his other tank here, throwing grenades, shooting meltas just like before, which we get a pen, and here he goes trying to dodge it, and he does. I don't think I've hit a, I don't think I got that. Words are good. Never mind. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, firing off tons of shots, trying to kill a bunch of these Dire Avengers just because killing Dire Avengers is good. Hit with all my shots, which was surprising, and then wounded with all of my shots, which was also surprising. And he failed quite a few saves here. So 7 of them, and 1 of them he had to reroll because unfortunately it wasn't flat on the board, but he did make the save again anyway. So he's all good. 3, 4, and then now he's got to do 4 lookout sirs, 3 lookout sirs, 2 lookout sirs. He had to do lookout sirs. 4+, and we're debating now. We realize that he has a different level save, and yeah, so we're gonna let him do his 3-up save, which he passes, and then 2 of them die. So that was a thing. Because I didn't realize that the Exarch had a different save, because when I play Eldar, I pretty much strictly play Wraith, and they don't really have Exarchs. So there you go. Anyway, and he does dodge yet another Melta on another 4+. So that's 3 for 3 now. Should put a little counter in the corner. Firing off missiles from my, what are they called? Land speeders at his tank, which I do not damage with any rockets. Firing off 4 more crack missiles, I get a pen. And 3+ cover save, which he makes easily. There we go. We're going to fire 2 more shots. 1 hit, 4 to glance. Glance. Here you go. 2+ cover save. And he fails it, but he's got a 2+. Oh, it doesn't matter. It was just a glance. I was going to say he's got the 2+, reduce it to a glance, but it was a glance anyway. The assault begins. The first guys miss the Dire Avengers. These guys charge in and are just barely in range to poke that tank. And unfortunately, the other bikes were not able to assault his Dire Avengers, which is a big bummer. And so they have to do their morale check. These guys charge the tank here, and they easily make that as well for 2 more Hammer of Wraths. And these fellas in the back charging the Fire Prism, and they easily make it as well at 11 inches, so tons of distance to get in there. And of course, we want to get as many into base contact as possible, because that's what you have to do. But once again, they are immune. He's in base to base right there, and he's in base to there. It's just the model does not quite fit. And these guys, they need a 6 to charge, and... oh, first Overwatch. 1 hit, and 5s to wound, 6s is rending. No. Here goes the charge, and they fail. They needed a 6, and I rolled a 3. So Khan's unit is in the open and ready to get shot up. And over here, we had to add this clip in because it was part of the editing. Anyway, moral of the story is took a few shots at his Dark Reapers with the Space Marines that had deep struck into the back there. And... the Melta had done a wound, and now the rest of the guns did a bunch of wounds as well. He decides that he's going to Lookout Sir most of these so that they don't go after his Farseer. And so here we go, 2+ Lookout Sirs. He passes them all. And the Melta Lookout Sir, which he looks out as well. And so basically one of them dies, and the rest of them have 3-up saves, which he fails 3. So 4 of them get killed, leaving just the Exarch alive, sitting on the far side of the wall there. And that's that. So here we go, Hammer of Wrath. Nope. And the other guy moves in his 3 inches, so they now both get their attacks. There's debating here whether I want to throw grenades, and I decide I'm going to throw crack grenades. I get 2 hits, and then 4s to glance, and I get 1 glance, so he loses a hull point and is down to 2. And here we go. So here we go, 2 Hammer of Wrath over here, and they're strength 5 thanks to being White Scars, so they do a glance with their Hammer of Wrath, bringing it down to 1 hull point. They then punch it with 2 grenades. 1 grenade hits on a 4, he does a glance, and glances and destroys it. So that tank is now wrecked. Here we go, we've got other ones doing 2 pens with their Hammer of Wraths, and it doesn't explode. So it's down to 1 hull point, and basically it's just unable to move or shoot next turn, or effectively shoot because it can't shoot its blasts. 6s to glance with their melee attacks, they do not do it. The Power Fist attacks, getting all hits, and then 2s to glance, and he gets 2 pens and a pen. And now what does it do? It does not blow up, but that is the end. There we go, moving on to the Eldar, he throws Guide down over onto his Dire Avengers. Dire Avengers, they're Guardians, not Dire Avengers. And it does go off without him paraling. Here we go, moving his Wave Serpent over here, trying to fly over that hilltop, coming in from the far flank there. Just sneaking around the back, pretty much. The Falcon, having only lost 1 hull point after those 2 bikes charged in, and shot with their Melta, decides that it's going to just kind of float on over to the other side of the terrain there. And so, there we go. And now he's over there. The Warp Spiders then decide that they're going to jump out from behind the wall that they were hiding behind so that they can blow away these 2 bikers who are just hanging out on the objective. Here we go, firing away with tons of shots, tons of hits, and now he's rolling for wounds. Or he rerolls to hit because he's got Guide. There you go. This is him firing tons of shots into those Space Marines that are hanging out in the back. He gets 2 rending right off the bat, and a bunch of wounds. And this is, of course, the quad gun shooting, which gets 2 more. And here we go, the Bright Lance. Hits, 2s to wound. Wounds. So 3 of them die just outright because of AP2 or the Bright Lance. And now we've got failed save, and now the rest of the 3-ups. 3 more. So 4 of my guys go down. Or these are my Lookout Sirs, sorry. And now the rest of their saves, and they made them all. So there we go, I lose 1 guy, but the Sergeant survives. I was doing Lookout Sirs at the first roll, is what that was. Then afterwards we did the armor saves. He failed his leadership, but he uses his runes to re-roll it, and using his warp charge, so he does get his mind, or his Eldritch Storm off. And I fail 1 of my saves. Or rather, no, he's doing Executioner. He didn't get the other spell. But I do make my other save, so only 1 dies from his Executioner. Here we go, the Exarch is now firing into the unit of bikers here, firing off basically all of his Warp Spiders as they try and get as many hits as they can. Once again, they have 6s to rend as well. So he does a bunch of wounds, and here goes the Exarch firing his Melta, which does wound, fails the first save, down to 1 wound, and now the rest of these guys need to make 3s, and they make them. Eat that. Ha! And now we're running, because they can run as well. They move a whole inch, and we decide that we're just going to do their 2d6 as well. First he does fleet though, which he only rolls 1, and then we decide to do their assault move because they do have the ability to move as jet infantry as well. Rerolling the 1 because it wasn't flat on the board, so they can effectively move 12. So they get 1-inch run, and then we're going to move 2d6, just all at the same time because it saves time. So they can move 12 inches plus 1 because of his warlord trait, so they can actually move 13 inches, and they basically all jump way over. He was going to go behind the wall, and he decides instead he's going to stop in front of it, so they're over there. Here we go, firing his shield off at my land speeder. I don't know why I can't remember what land speeders are called. And of course it blows up as well because it's 3 stick lance and I get no kind of saves, or 4 stick lance. Either way, it just kills them. Here we go, firing the Exarch at those 2 bikes who can't drink and get no save. And that's it. That's the end of those 2 bikes, so they're dead. They go to ground and fail to save. Dead. Here we go, firing at the Khan's unit with his Falcon, getting a couple hits, and then firing his other guns for a couple more hits. And the Shuriken cannons. Going for a wound with the cannon, 3 and 6, and he does not get one. And then the Star Cannon, which does 2 wounds. But I do have my cover saves in just a moment after he fires his other gun there. So here we go, 3 4+ saves, and I failed 1 of them. So 2 of them go down, but of course the Meltas do survive, which is certainly good to see. Here we go, the 5s and 6s, there we go. There we are. And we save those saves because he's firing with his Dire Avengers. And now here they go, shooting at them as well. I'm trying to overwatch anyway as he assaults. And I do get a hit and do not get a wound. So they charge in, they easily make their charge, of course, and it's those 3 against 2 of my bikes. Hopefully I can win this, or there's 4 of them, actually. So here we go, forced to hit with the Dire Avengers. First is the Exarch attacking. He has a power sword, so you watch out. 5s and 6s for him to wound, or actually just 6s for him to wound, because he needs a lot to wound. And does get a wound. So down to 1 wound on the attack bike. And then the rest of them attack. Couple hits, 2 6s to wound. Does 2 wounds and 3+ save. I fail them both, and there we go. That is the end of those 2 bikers. And the Dire Avengers win the combat without even being counterattacked. And then they kind of debated for a little bit where he wanted to go, and in the end he decides he's going to go run into the woods. And the morale check for those Space Marines who got shut up, they passed there. He charges in with his Exarch against, or they're not Autarchs, they're Farseers, against them, and they failed to kill him, but they do a couple wounds, which he then fails 1. So the Farseer's down to 2 wounds and then charges in, and he makes it. And so he attacks, hitting on 3s, only having, I think, 3 attacks. Wounding on 2s because he, of course, has a Witchblade, which is Fleshbane. So he does 3 wounds, and I fail 1, so I lose 1 of my fellows over there. After that, all the Space Marines get to attack back. First, we're going to do the power weapon to see if it can just kill him outright. The power fist, anyway, which he passes. Oh, there we go. It was the regular guys, then the power fist. Here goes the power fist, and he fails it, and he's dead. So, splatter, and those Space Marines get to move a whole D6. They're going to move 6 inches, and they just hang out next to the woods because we got to kill that Exarch. He's killing all my bikes. The next drop pod comes in. It does not deviate. A bunch of guys show up on the hilltop behind that tank because we're going to start shooting Meltas and just lots of bolt guns into the back armor. Maybe we can blow it up. I mean, 6 is to glance. It's doable. But it is me rolling, so who knows? Good and bad. It's all over the place. Land speeders all cruising around. These guys moving through cover. I was going to move over the wall, and then I'm just like, yeah, forget it. I'll just sit there. Other bikers over here decide they're going to take up around the corner here, moving through the destroyed tank that they blew up after tackling it on the previous turn. And he ramps off of there, but then decides to just stop because he's got a power fist and I don't want him up front. Here we go, moving Khan, or trying to move Khan and his other guys, but they're all stuck together in proper Warhammer model fashion because spiky bits. Khan leaves the unit, headed off that direction, and these the land speeders now get tons of shots. Trying to finish off these filthy little Dire Avengers who had the gall to kill my unit of bikers here. So they're firing their heavy bolters and their rockets. The heavy bolters hit, but the rockets are fairly poor accuracy as well. We're doing 3 invulns on them so far because they are only a 4-up save, but they do have a 5-up invuln thanks to the Shimmer Shield, which they promptly failed too. And so splat splat. There they go. They're dead. And now there's 2 left. More rockets fire. I really didn't want to have to shoot both units at them. I was figuring that the 1 unit would be able to do it, but unfortunately, I need dice rolls. So those are 5-ups. These are rockets. Oh, only one hit and one wound. So he's got 4 more 5+ saves to make. And here we go. Dead. And now against the leader here, he's got 3+ save. We really messed up because we should have divided these. Ugh. Dead. And there we go. So that is the end of those two. From here, we're firing into the back of this tank. The Melta does get a hit. And now I'm going to fire some more guns at it. Tons of bolt guns, but Multi-Melta decided they would take a snapshot, or the sergeant would anyway. But blah, blah, blah. Shooting. Bolt guns. 6s to glance. Here we go. And nothing. And the Multi-Melta, 2d6 to pen. That is a pen. He's got to make a 4+ once again, thanks to his cover save. And he makes it yet again. So there we go. We are now 4 for 4 for cover saves. Here we go. Throwing grenades. Miss. Here we go. 2 Melta shots. First one, pen. Second one, pen. This is against the Falcon, of course. Well, glance and a pen. And here we go. 4+ against the pen. He makes that. And 4+ against the glance. He makes that as well. So he's now made all of his cover saves. Here we go. Going for the last Reaper here. We got to finish this guy off. And we killed him with the Melta gun. Zap. He's dead. Now we're going flat out with the bikers. They move up further, trying to get a little bit closer, as well as getting the better save. So now they're up to a 3+ Jinx save, which is just ridiculous. And then Khan flat outs and comes over next to them as well. And there we go. These guys assault the tank. They do only get a 5-inch charge, but it is enough to make them in. And of course, Hammer of Wrath, Hammer of Wrath, Hammer of Wrath, and he does not make it. No Hammer of Wrath. So 3 of them get in there. 5s to glance, glance, it's dead. And that's how fast that went. Ta-da! Here we go, moving into the Eldar turn. He moves a whole 6 inches-ish. More or less 6 inches. Basically, he's just moving over so that he can drop out all of his little fellas. So, they moved over there, and now he's got his warp spiders jumping over the wall there. Kind of hard to see because he's got his hand in the front. But they're jumping out from behind that wall, getting in a position so they can start shooting away. And that's basically what he's going for here. See? There they are. Here we go. Tons of shots. And tons of wounds. And the quad gun, this is of course the Guardians that are shooting at the moment, but I say of course. Anyway, 2s to wound with the quad gun, which is a couple more wounds, and the Bright Lance hits, 2s to wound, wounds. This is trying to kill the last of my Space Marines, and he passes all of his lookout sirs and fails his cover save, so one guy dies, the other guy dies, and then we've got some saves here. We got 4+, and they're going aground for the 2+. One dies, and the other one dies. So here we go, the last few guys, 2+ saves, one dies, and the one last guy, he dies too. And that is the end of my Space Marines. So they're dead, and that's that. Here we go, Warp Spider shooting at the bikers. Tons of shooting. And tons of more shooting. They need to wound on 3s because they are strength 6, with 6s being rending, but either way, I have a 3-up save. The Exarch shoots, getting a few more hits, and once again wounding on 3s, 6s being rending. He gets another wound, and then of course the Exarch fires, or not the Exarch, the Autarch fires, getting a hit and wounding on a 2, which he does, and that's another invuln. But it's all 3+, and I failed 2 of them, but I got to reroll because it wasn't flat, and I failed 3 of them. So 3 guys die, and try and look out, sir, the one that got to my sergeant, which I failed, and so he dies, and I lose a Power Fist. Here we go, firing his tank at my poor little Space Marine sitting on the hill. They didn't hurt nobody. They tried. They didn't. They failed. It was terrible. Tons of hits, so he's got 4. He shoots his shield as well, getting 6 more shots, which hits a few times and a few times more. 3+ saves. 2 of them die. Splat, splat. There we go. So there goes the Melta. Here we go, firing off his next unit of Dire Avengers. They used their ability to run before shooting, and they had fleet, so they got to reroll the distance. So he's up on the hill now, and he's firing away with all the Dire Avengers into my little Space Marines. And of course, it's 4s to wound, 6s being rending, and I don't have a save. So 2 of them are dead. My little sergeant there is at the top. He's going to look out, sir. He does. The next guy dies, and now all lookout, sirs. Reroll that one because it was not flat. And they're good. And everybody made their saves. And here we go, doing his jet move at the end of the assault phase, and they get to move another 2d6 and hang out back by the wall there. So White Scar's turn. We kind of adjust around, but keeping the plasma cannon still so we can still fire now. Here we go, we're going to line up and just shoot back at him. Now the jet bikes, or the bikers here, they move through the woods because, of course, they are not slowed by anything, and they're awesome like that. So, vroom vroom, bikes are through there. These bikes, they start running because they've had enough. They lost their sergeant, they lost their willingness to stay and fight, but Khan will go up and join that other group. And now my land speeders readjust, getting into better formation so that they can start firing away on the following, on whatever, really. Honestly, I just want to start shooting because these land speeders are great. They're very expensive, but I do like them. They'd be even better if he didn't have a weapon that ignored my cover save. And then we flat out with the other bikes running off behind the hilltop, heading for the objective in the far end. Plasma cannon shoots its plasma cannon, and it hits because it corrects by 4 inches, so it's right on top. And I hit like 6 or 7 of them. Wounding on 2s. It did not get hot. We had to remember to roll that. And it does wound 4 of them outright. Now I fire the bolt guns. Pretty good hitting, a little bit below average, but still good. 3s to hit, 3s to wound. Does a few more wounds. There we go. So here we go, 4+. He fails all 3 saves, which is very unlucky. Now we've come to the one guy, 5+. He fails. And now we're at his warlock, or his leader. He's doing lookout sirs, and one of them gets through, so he's got to make a 5+ save on his exarch, which he fails. And then because it's simultaneous, he gets his 5 up on the other guys as well. And they fail as well. So he just failed all of his saves, and now there's 2 guys left. The Stormbolter on the drop pod shoots, getting 1 hit and a wound. And he's got to make another 4+ save, and he fails. So yet another one goes down. He's down to 2 left. Here we go, firing the rockets from my land speeders. They're firing frag missiles. We get 1 hit, and the other one missed. Firing the next one, which is slightly over, hitting just a couple of them. It goes on for a little while here because they each can fire 2 rockets, and there's like 8 of them, and they're firing a frag missile on each one, and it just becomes kind of tedious trying to remember where everything went. But this one misses, and number 4 misses by most of it. Oh, still hits 1 guy. There we go. So I think it's like 12 guys after all. Yep, and I rolled terribly. Look at all those ones. But that's okay. Still did 6 wounds. He still has to make 6 4+ saves, and fails every single one. 6 guys die. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. Here we go, firing more now at his warp spiders, which is a hit on the first one. The second one, hit on the second one. Third one, hit on the third one. Fourth one, miss. Fifth one, 1 inch over. So it's going to be still quite a few of them. So 4. So we're up to 25 hits so far. And the last one, miss. Let me just measure it just in case. Nope, still get 1 more. So 26. 26 hits with the rockets, 3s to wound. Bunch of rolls. Oh, got to re-roll that 1-5 there. Wait for it. Let me get those out of the way, those 1s and 2s. And gotta re-roll. There it is. Knew I would do it, because if it's not flat on the table, you gotta re-roll it. And that's just the way we go. That's the way we do. Now he's gotta make a 3+ saves, and he makes a crazy number of saves here, but he does fail 4, which, I mean, in a unit of like 10 guys, it's kind of bad. There we go. So now I'm gonna charge his Guardians. He overwatches and misses, and I fail my charge. And that's that. Guardians do their leadership, they pass. The Warp Spiders do their leadership, and they pass. So they stay there. Eldar turn begins. The Autarch decides that he's going to go off by himself. He's going to fight all these bikers all by his lonesome. He doesn't need those other guys. And the other guys head off to go fight the other Space Marines that are around the corner there dealing with his Dire Vendors because, frankly, he's just got to kill them. Because if I survive, I'm going to walk over and grab the objective. And if I grab the objective, then I've guaranteed the win. I'm already ahead, but that would make it even more of a guarantee. So, we'll see how that goes. Moving over to his other Falcon, getting in a better position so he can start shooting. But here we go, firing his 2 fellas here. Trying to kill more of my little fellas. I can't even think of what to call them. Space Marines, that's what they're called. And one of them dies, the other guy's stuck in cover. He fires away now. Unfortunately, he can't kill all of my guys because some of them are hiding there. But I do have to make a whole bunch of saves once he rolls to hit. And he rolls an amazing roll with tons of 6s. But this guy lives because he can't see him, so he can't kill him. But those 2 guys can still assault him if he doesn't break. Well, even if he does, probably. Firing his shield at my 2 skimmers there. He gets a bunch of hits, and now 3s to glance. Ooh, only 2. So 1 pen and 1 glance. He rolls the pen first, and if it blows up, then he'll get a glance on the other one. But he doesn't, so it just destroys the 1 land speeder. Dead. Here we go, shooting with his guardians at my fellas that are on the other side of the wall there. And he gets a bunch of hits, a couple wounds. Then rolling the rest of the guys here, rolling to hit and wound. Of course, he's rolling shuriken catapults as well, but he needs 6s to hit because he went to ground. And so, not exactly easy to make. But I do make my saves, so that's pretty much it. And the Bright Lance misses. Here we go. So now he's shooting his Autarch's Fusion Blaster? Fusion Blasters is what they called. He misses, but he's supposed to skill 6, so he got to reroll on a 6. He would have gotten another one. Now I'm overwatching before he gets ready to shoot. And I get twin length shots. I do 1 wound to him, but he makes his save, and that's that. So now charging, he does make the charge, and the close combat begins over there. And over here, he charges. I passed my leadership check, and then tried to overwatch, but failed to hit. And so it's 2 Dire Avengers against 1 Space Marine. Who will win? So he attacks, 2 hits, 5s to wound, and he does get a wound. Here we go, 3+ Space Marine. He lives. So he attacks back with his attack, he hits, and he fails to wound. Close combat here begins. He gets to do his attacks first, because Autarchs are really quick, and of course he is strength 6 with rending, but he does miss 3 out of 4 attacks, and now he needs a 4 to wound, and 6s will be rending. It's only in a challenge that it does instant death, but he isn't in a challenge because he didn't want to challenge me. Well, no, that's not true. He did challenge, and then I refused it with Khan. Or I refused it, and he said Khan couldn't fight. So my Bikers attack, they do a hit, and he makes his save, and now my Power Fist moves over to attack, getting 2 hits, wounding on 2s. He does 2 wounds. He's got to make 2 4+, and he makes them both. So we stay in combat. I try and do my hit and run, but I fail the hit and run initiative check. Next White Scar's turn, I move and do my flat out at the same time just to get my guys on the objective, which guarantees a win. And then moving my land speeders around, getting in a position so they can start shooting at that wave serpent that does not have its serpent shields up. And unfortunately, it'll still have a 4-up Jinx save, but at least this time we have a chance of actually killing it, assuming that he actually fails one of those 4-ups, because he hasn't failed one yet, so it becomes a bit of a challenge. And we do a few wounds to the Guardians with his drop pod. That's what it was. I was so confused about what happened right there. It was a drop pod shooting, and it killed one. And the drop pod did a wound. Here we go. This is the other drop pod, the red one, that is. The red one shot, killed one. Now the white one's shooting. Now he's trying to do his cover save. He got to 6-up because he's gone to ground, and fails it. So, splat. That guy's dead. And those guys are now going to shoot at the Wave Serpent, getting 5 hits with their crack missiles, and then glancing on 4s. They get 1 pen. He's got to make 1 more 4+, and this is it. This is it, and he passed that one too. So he has made every cover save so far. And then he fires 2 rockets from the other guy, 4s to glance, get another pen. Here we go, another 4+. Now this one, of course, will be the one that gets through. It doesn't, but that's okay. We'll get him in close combat. That's right. Yep. Here we go. The Autarch attacks. 3 hits this time. 4s to wound with 6s being rending. 1 rend. Oh, I lose a guy. So one of my Space Marines dies. Here we go. Now we attack him back. We've got 2 guys attacking. They get 2 hits, 3s to wound, 2 wounds. He's got to make 2 saves now. 3+. And he fails 2. He's down to 1 wound. So we've won combat at this point. And now we get to attack him with the Power Fist as well. And the Power Fist hits with nothing. And now here is morale check. He's leadership 9, so he's not going to fail. And he stays. And that's that. 1 wound. So this is the fight between the Dire Avenger and the other Space Marine. They're still duking it out, and the Space Marine misses. Nearing the end, and as it stands, White Scars are winning. We've got his Warlord tied down. He has one objective.
He's got this. He's got this.
He's got an objective, but we have Line Breaker, we have First Blood, and we've killed 3 heavy supports. And we're holding this objective. So 1 or 2, the game ends. Womp, womp. This is the end of the game. And it was a White Scar victory, though a lot closer than it at first appeared.
Yeah.
Actually, it kind of went back and forth for a while there.
There was one thing whiffed, one thing didn't. And
Yep. Like, that went really well, but then, like, a bunch of guys can't shoot, and then it's just like, oh, I can't kill everything.
you fail your charges.
Yep, failing charges all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, they were supposed to kill those Guardians first, so these guys could go and kill this, but they just didn't do it. And, yeah. So stay tuned, Vault members. We're going to have a post-game, talk about what happened here, what we would have done differently, and what we would have brought otherwise. Happy wargaming.